fried chicken, chicken parm sandwich on a toasted.
Like chicken parm sandwiches, they go hard. Three Brothers make a really good
fried
chicken parm sandwich.
Oh, I didn't have theirs yet.
Who the hell said fried chicken?
That was YouTube on a delay.
You should say fried chicken. And we talking about chicken, then it goes fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
What the hell?
Let's share this to Facebook.
You trying to tell me though?
All right.
Make some fried chicken?
It's Thursday. Let's talk about fried chicken. Chicken franchise.
And it's not just because I'm here.
Wow. What?
I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown and you fool bitch. So just step back, or I'm mad dad when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll! I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, and you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll.
Oh yeah, there you go. You can watch you roll. Big Bear's gonna roll up a fatty of some grapefruit kush, grapefruit haze. Grapefruit haze. Yes, sir. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Don't say I ain't never warned you. I think that's my new favorite song. He said, who you want to smoke with?
Who you want to smoke with?
Let's roll.
Who you want to dab with?
Hey. I don't know about all that.
So, man, what a fun week this was. What a fun week. I was just telling you before about Keyport. Keyport did some really screwed up stuff this week. They took grant money, and instead of fixing the wheelchair accessibility with the grant money, they actually took the wheelchair accessibility away in Keyport. So the only bright spot was the police chief. That was the only good thing about that evening, because we knew her from a few years ago, 5 years ago. We met her. We got some weed back for a patient, a quarter pound of weed for a patient, and
so they were trying to keep it and smoke it.
They were just trying to keep it.
I think they were gonna smoke it.
Maybe.
Don't be fooled by the consensus thinking that they don't.
It was old. It was old.
Don't matter.
6 months old.
It don't matter. Weed don't expire.
So the police chief now was actually a captain or a lieutenant back then, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And she was very helpful, got us the weed back. And that was it. Well, she's now the police chief, and she sits there with the council. She's like an involved police chief, like on the council, sitting next to the BA, the business administrator. Like, no chiefs do that. My own police chief sits in the back. He hangs out. He's there. Some chiefs don't show up at all. I mean, it's like she's really involved in this town.
She's there. That's good.
And she's really good. She's very helpful and very pretty. So she, oh, I don't know if I want to tell this story.
That side just told me a lot. Carry on.
Here's Jim. Here's Jim. I don't know if Jim saw this. Let's see if Jim saw this. I'll tell Jim the story. I have to tell him. He might appreciate it. Hi, Jim. Jim, did you happen to see the Keyport video? Oh, he's connecting. He's still connecting.
Yeah, we're waiting for Jim to come into the room.
He's on dial-up. He's taking... All right, he's connecting audio. Okay. Jim Miller is with us. Hey, Jim. I don't hear him yet. I don't see him, but I see his name. He's in the house.
He's prepping. He's buffering right now. He'll be here shortly.
He's in the green room buffering.
He's buffering. He'll be here shortly.
What are you buffering with?
I didn't sign the got it part. It wouldn't let me in.
See? Buffering.
Buffering. More buffers. Need more buffers.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I was like clicking unmute or the mute and start the video, and it wouldn't let me in. I had it all figured out. Then I saw, oh, you can't get in until you like sign the pledge. Got it. You know?
Got it. Yeah, you have to say got it.
Yeah. Well, now I just can't say things I don't want people to hear after the fact now.
Yeah, that part.
Well, I was about to tell the story about Keyport. Did you see the Keyport video?
No, I didn't.
Well, you know what happened down there. They removed the wheelchair access.
Yeah, right. How'd that go though?
Well, we found out that they got a grant.
Oh yeah. When did they get the grant? Didn't say.
They got the grant maybe last year. I did an Oprah request for the grant.
Yeah.
And they got a grant to improve accessibility.
Where and it just in the township?
In that with that grant.
I mean, but not at that particular area. Obviously, you already had accessibility when they. Wait a minute.
Wait, they took no. They
took that away.
They took it away. They got a grant. They
When
took
did-
that grant
okay.
money and they
Yeah.
put steps in with that grant money.
Okay, we need a reference to which came first, the grant or the ramp removal.
The
In other
grant.
words, the grant came, and then
Grant.
after they got the grant, they used the grant.
To put steps in.
Well, they didn't actually really probably directly use it, but you know how that works, and you
That's why I did an Oprah
move
request.
things around.
I'm
So,
shocked. I'm really shocked.
Well, they must have done something with it though. They'll come back and say, well, we use that for, but they must have, you know, how do you Oprah request what they spent the funds on?
Oh, that's a good idea. I could get the budget
Yeah,
for the year.
because that has to be logged in somewhere.
Yeah, that's public record.
I mean, I didn't need to take on a new fight, but this is just really, it looks like they just took grant money and did what they want with it. And did the opposite.
Cause and effect and all. You got. I think you need to dig deeper because they could have
to.
some. Well, they could have some before, like saying something to them or you know about it, like have a little more information so they can't easily rebut what you might come at them with right now.
Well, the engineer said that he was on the job only 3 days before they started pouring concrete. So he already distanced himself from the whole situation.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I wasn't here. I just started the job.
No me.
Here we go. Here we go. The finger pointing is starting already. or the not me is starting. Not me, wasn't me. When you start talking about wheelchair access and removing it, it's like there's a whole process for that you have to follow according to the ADA Title II. You have to have a question and answer period, a grievance procedure,
Okay, and
transitional
then
period.
when was it taken out? Now I know which comes first, but how long ago was that? Like a year or two ago?
I would say about a year ago, a year and a half ago. I need to find out more information.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Hmm.
Good.
Yeah. So the police chief was very helpful. She's the one back in the day that helped us get back that quarter-pound of weed. Remember that? We got back a quarter-pound of weed from Keyport.
Yep.
She was a lieutenant or a captain back then. That was like 6 or so years ago. And she was very helpful to get us back that weed. So I mentioned that when I was speaking about how helpful Police Chief Torres was at that time. And she's very, very pretty. So she gets in front of me. I'm in my wheelchair with my mask on. And she says, "Can you see in that mask?" And I really can't. I have no peripheral vision in that mask. All I could see is front of me. And all I'm looking at is two big boobs. That's all I'm looking at. That's all I can see. I can't see anything but two boobs. And she's asking me these questions. And I'm like, I didn't want to answer that question. I guess I could see fine.
Oh, I can see.
I can see.
Oh, can I ever?
And then she starts adjusting the mic stand like this, going like this in front of me with the mic stand like this.
Yo,
I lost it.
she's like, "Can you see?" You're like, "Yes."
I lost it.
Yes.
Because she's so nice and she's so pretty. I'm just like, and my whole speech went out the window. My notes could have been, I lost my notes. Believe me, they were there, but I lost them. I did good, but I missed some of the points I wanted to make about the ADA Title II, like what I just said. I didn't mention that there is a process to the ADA Title II, and they didn't follow it, as far as I know. I want to know who their ADA coordinator is. I didn't ask that question. But I did speak about the things I needed to speak about, and Mikey's amazing. Mikey started off with a power move. You know what he did? They said, what? He said, "Hi, I'm here to talk about such and such." They're like, "You have to give your name." He's like, "No, I'm not giving my name." They're like, "Oh, you have to give your name, sir." He's like, no, that's policy. That's not law. And then they were like, "No, you can't." And then I'm like, point of order, the magic words, point of order. And then they had to stop the meeting. The police chief waved them off. They all looked at the chief. The chief is the smartest person in the room, apparently, there. And the chief just waved it off. She's like, "Nope, let him go."
Yeah, he's seen the YouTube videos that get around, it's not worth going after.
They tried that in Sayreville. It didn't work out. Mikey did that in Sayreville. The whole meeting had to stop. A room full of lawyers
But
went in the back room to look up the law.
You're supposed to, in a case like that, I believe it's common courtesy to make yourself up a name, like you can call me Bond.
Well, that's what I said. El Rampador.
You can call me L, whatever. Give them something to call you so they can refer to you, politely while they talk. Yes, rare the police chief being the smart one. How often did that happen?
Actually, quite often.
Really?
Because the police chief will not do an unjust law. I think it was Ocean City where they said you can't smoke weed in public. And the police chief says, "No, we can't enforce that. We're not going to enforce that." Remember that? There was a couple of towns like that said we're going to do something stupid, and the police chief's like, "Nope, no, I won't enforce that." Because immediately when they say something stupid, we go to the chief and we're like, "Okay, you going to arrest us? Arrest us." And they're like, "No, I'm not going to enforce that. No. Nope, you ain't getting me, guys. Oh, nope. Not on camera.
I will not.
Not on camera, you won't.
I will not.
Put that camera away, Lefty. I'll kick your butt. That's my weapon, is my camera.
He said, "I will not."
It really is a valuable piece of equipment, the camera.
Oh yeah.
You put that camera on, everybody's like, "Oh,
You tense up real quick.
Oh, yes, sir. Hi.
Yeah, and for the police who can appreciate that the other way around, I think it rounds out their behavior with body cams on all the time, that it should keep some of them in control, as well as uh, people or more of the public is getting around to the fact that they're on body camera every time they're talking to a cop. So, you can't make up stories afterwards anymore. I got to tell you, it was a long time in coming. It was always like whatever they say, that comes, goes first. So now with Oprah laws and body cams everywhere, kind of evens the playing field up, actually.
A lot, a lot actually. Although in some instances it still doesn't mean anything because they manipulate it to their advantage.
Yeah, that happens, of course. A glitch, oh, sorry, I must have accidentally turned it off just before they slipped.
Mm-hmm. Or something to the effect.
Yeah.
It gets covered by something or flipped around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
Right here.
Thank you. I'm like, is that the fan? What is that? What is that noise? Oh, the noise. I'm trying to make sure we're live on Facebook. I think we are. Hard to tell. Okay. Jeff King likes the link I shared. That's good. I guess we're live. All right. So Keyport, we have a lot of work to do in Keyport. And plus, the police station. In the police station, there's steps in the front. So they Rosa Parks the people in wheelchairs. Yes, I'm using it as a verb. Rosa Parks the disabled. Rosa Parks?
Yeah.
Rosa
Okay.
Parkses. They Rosa Parks me. And they made me go around the back of the building, get to the back. People in wheelchairs to the back of the building. You go in the back.
Is that where the ramp was?
Fuck that.
Was
No,
there
I'm not going through the back.
But
Next
was
time
there,
I'm going in the front, I'm going to bring a ramp and I'm going to go through the front. Bring my own ramp. And we're going to go back to Keyport. I'm bringing my 10-foot ramp and I'm going to go down that huge step that they just put in. And it's going to take me about 4 tries of moving the ramp, setting it up, moving the ramp. And Mount Holyoke is going to help me. And we're going to go down that friggin' stupid set of stairs with ramps. I hope they have something to say about that. Idiots. I'm so mad about that. They took grant money, Jim. They took grant money. They used it for nefarious reasons.
yeah, when you do that, you ought to have however large you can get a picture of the ramp before that readily available. I mean, while you're physically doing that, it'd be pretty cool. What are you doing? Look, there should have been a ramp here. There was a ramp here. Now there's no ramp.
So this is how I go. This is how I always go down there, and then there's no ramp, so I brought my own. Is there a problem here, officer?
Yeah. My son, my son asked his wife to get married in that gazebo right there, and I was just going to sit there and think about it because he's in the hospital with rickets.
Oh.
Whatever. Came up with rickets. I don't know. Is that even a thing anymore?
America?
I
don't think we have that.
Is that even a thing? Yeah, I would have been.
It is.
I would have been snagged. Yeah.
Because
that is.
My church makes wells for. They go to Rwanda and they build water wells for Africa in Rwanda, and because there's like this, the kids spend the whole day searching for water. They spend the whole day. They don't go to school. They spend the whole day searching for water, and then when they get the water, it's shitty water, and they get diarrhea. So they spend another week recovering from their diarrhea. So they don't get to do any of the normal things that kids here do because they're spending their whole friggin' day and week or month looking for water to drink. So that's why they have rickets and all these other horrible diseases over there, because it's shit water.
Yeah, they gotta walk like 10 miles for shit water.
Shit water.
Every
Shit
day.
water.
6 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Their whole life is spent getting fresh water, if you can find it.
Yeah,
It's really, it's messed up. So shout out to Liquid Church for building those water wells out there. They built like 200 or something out there. Some amazing amount. Yeah.
Yeah,
I read about that somewhere recently.
Mr. Beast just recently started doing that as well. I think it was in Nigeria. Don't
Yeah,
quote me.
Nigeria, they do it. There's a
Yeah,
It's
he just did it with his own money. He
Mhm.
just went out there himself, and he built bridges for them because they had a bridge that they had to try and get across that was no good.
What's up with their government? What are they doing over there with their money? The government.
Problem is, there is no money in the government.
Why? What are they doing? Their government's corrupt as
You
fuck.
don't know what
It's
the
not?
truth? You want the truth, or you want me to give you the consensus?
I want to hear it. I want to
Okay,
hear it.
the truth of the matter is they're still owned by Britain. So Britain and everybody else is still stealing their resources. They have nothing because their resources are being stolen and they still have to pay. So how do you build wealth that way? You can't.
There
It's
it is.
impossible.
Yeah. Now
So
that makes
it's-
sense.
It's an American tactic being used over there,
Mm.
but it originated there.
That old game they're still playing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris
it ain't
Chris
gonna
Goldstein.
change. It ain't gonna change.
Chris Goldstein in the house.
How you
Like-
doing tonight?
Hey, Chris. Good, man. How are you?
Good. Me and Ben are just eating some Christmas cookies, you know.
Okay, I like cookies.
Yeah, I'm sporting my my Ben Franklin pose here.
That's pretty good. Jim, that's pretty good. I think you got it.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Be careful, Jim. We're gonna put you in AI. I'm gonna be like AI. I'm gonna have AI turn you into Ben Franklin like
Oh,
tomorrow.
Thank
You know,
That's all right.
Thank you.
I'm with it. I'll put my face on it for that.
That's funny. That's funny. So we have to address some astronomy news.
Oh, astronomy news.
Okay, I like that.
I'm actually not kidding about this. You have to be careful how you tell your friends about this. This is really cool astronomy news, but I want everybody just be very careful how you text this to your friends, especially how you text this to your girlfriend. So, do you know the James Webb Space Telescope? Any astronomy fans out there?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So they finally pointed it at one of the planets that we don't look at very much. And I'm not kidding about this. If you go on the internet, you will see headlines that say brand new images of Uranus. And you have to be now
I
it's
knew
good.
it.
No. This is all true. I swear, if you look this up, the James Webb Space Telescope has brand new images of Uranus. And what you need to do is let people know, because this could be like revenge porn. You know what I mean? Like, if they're pointing the James Webb Space Telescope in the wrong place, it could be a wrong problem. I personally think they should rename that planet to something that is a little bit more palatable, like your penis.
Yeah,
Or
right. Urbanus.
Yeah, Uranus. That's hilarious.
Maybe like your vagina. I don't know, but Uranus just, I don't know. It doesn't fly for modern times. I'd be okay with something, like your butthole, but like Uranus is what they got pictures of, and everyone
Your
should
vag.
know. Just saying, they got pictures of it on the James Webb Space Telescope.
Your hairy starfish.
No, Uranus.
They tried putting the emphasis on the first syllable, and no, that didn't catch on.
There's no way. Look, if you
It
miss
still
this
reads the
word,
same.
if you put a space in the wrong place and you text your friends, new pictures of your space anus. In the modern age, Jim, there's no accent needed. This can all go wrong with one space. Okay.
One space.
But
Little
wrong,
space.
wrong or right.
Yeah. Hey,
Hilariously right.
that's true. If you text somebody, there are new pictures. NASA has new pictures of Uranus, and you put the space in the wrong place, and they text you back and be like, yes, finally exposure. I'm going viral.
Hilarious. First question would be, where'd you get it from?
Yeah. Did they
How'd you get
blow it
that?
up?
Yeah.
So, okay, we got the
Amazing.
astronomy news out of the way. I mean, this is what happens if you look at the internet, you know? All of a sudden you're scrolling down, James Webb Space Telescope has pictures of Uranus, and you start texting that to somebody and you're like,
Whoops.
I can't text this. I don't know him that well.
so my testimony before the NJCRC made the news again today,
I
Yeah,
hear
saw that.
which was
today.
kind of
again.
funny.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think more people should go testify. It's
Yeah.
definitely they need to hear from folks.
Well, this it's good recruitment poster for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Call up.
I'll tell you, they really it was funny because in this article they were talking about TerraSend getting fined. And TerraSend got fined $20,000. And they got fined $20,000 because like a number of medical marijuana patients kept reporting to the CRC that when they went into TerraSend, there were no lines for patients, there were no times for patients, and they were told by staff, patients were told by staff, that there wasn't necessarily a medical menu anymore, that they should just order off the adult use menu and they would kind of discount it, I guess. So after hearing about like many times of this happening, the CRC finally fined TerraSend, and they could have fined them more. And honestly, $20,000 is not. I mean, TerraSend is a ginormous international company.
Yeah. It's an hour of work.
Even in New Jersey, I mean, they sell weed for $400 or $500 an ounce. That's 40 ounces of weed. So
Yeah. It's a few
not a big deal to
transactions.
these guys.
Yeah.
$20,000 is, I'm sure, what they paid the lawyer to show up and testify for 3 minutes at the NJCRC meeting. So, anyway, she got up. The lawyer for TerraSend did get up, and she was quite defiant. She was,
Yeah. She was upset.
look, whatever happened to, here's what the lawyer could have. Here's what might have made me feel better about TerraSend. Like if the lawyer had done the complete opposite thing, and if she had gone up there and said, shoot, we're sorry. Dang, we will pay this fine and we will make sure that it doesn't happen again, not by firing anybody or being mean to our employees, but with intense training sessions.
Thank you.
With gluten-free donuts. And that would be awesome. But that's not what they did. They went up there and they were like, you guys are wrong. This was all human error and we don't deserve to get fined and blah, blah, blah. And I went up there and one of the part of my testimony that they quoted this time was that I agreed with the fine. I said, in my opinion, they were correctly fined. Because if you have a regulatory agency and you have companies like TerraSend screwing around, what else are they supposed to do but fine them? I mean, this happens in other spaces all the time. You name it, chemicals, petroleum, construction, food production, people get fined. There are health violations in restaurants every day. People do not send the lawyer to complain about the fine. Most business owners pay the fine, comply with the regulators, and say they're sorry to the consumers. That's not what TerraSend did. They were like, this was all wrong. Wow. And meanwhile, they're charging about twice as much for medical cannabis in New Jersey as they are in like other states. So all these MSOs are getting away with charging a premium in New Jersey. They're charging like a New Jersey tax essentially to themselves for operating here. And that usually is very wrong. And I mean, if you look at I follow the New Jersey Senate Democrats on Instagram, and, they've got videos of Nick Scutari up there saying how much more affordable they have made New Jersey, how awesome they work against corporate price gouging. I swear to God.
We're like,
so it's hard to take these guys seriously when,
come on.
Yeah, no, really. I swear, I go to their freaking feed, dude. Like, I was just on the Hi Ho cheese. By the way, the best cheeseburger I had in 2023. If you're ever in Marina Del Rey in Los Angeles, Hi Ho cheeseburger, 100% Wagyu beef. My God, dude, do not go on their Instagram unless you already have a cheeseburger in your hand from anywhere. Just don't even bother looking. But anyway, if you go to the NJ Senate Democrats, they're going to tell you that they made New Jersey more affordable this year. And maybe they did for people who don't smoke marijuana or consume cannabis medically. They might have made beer more affordable. Maybe they did make beer more affordable. Gas is a little bit more affordable. I'll give them that. But as far as price gouging on cannabis, there have been an abject failure at that. They have allowed a few corporations to price gouge New Jersey patients and consumers the worst in the country. And they've gotten like away with it. Look, if you go over to Pennsylvania and you look at the menus of the big corporate MSOs like Apothecarium or something like that, their menus are consistently like at every stage. So their eighths are $18. In New Jersey, they're 45. You know what I mean? And they don't even offer ounces to a lot of patients in New Jersey on the menu items. You have to buy by the quarter or the eighth. So it sucks. Yes, you can get special discounts in New Jersey if you go in with a sports team logo on a Tuesday and you do a dance 3 ways to the left. They might give you another 10% off or whatever. But generally, New Jersey patients pay twice as much for medical cannabis products in New Jersey than every other state in the country. And the only reason is that there is so much less competition and corporate control in New Jersey. And so these companies complaining about a $20,000 fine, man, I'm waiting for the apology because apology to patients because so far I haven't heard it.
Well, yeah, that really is something that's within everybody's mental grasp, no matter what they know about what we're talking about, that a business that has stores in multiple states, generally there's not that kind of difference between what they sell here and what they sell in another state. Sometimes in like freaking Hawaii or something, because it's more to get there. But you're talking about like off the charts differences for something that
it's the same product.
Yeah.
There's
Are they going to stand behind, well, we can't, if we could transport products interstate commerce wise, then we could do that. It just seems like
I can't buy that because again, like what is interesting about medical cannabis, especially Jim, is that it has been similarly regulated in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maine.
I'm
At
not
this point,
I'm not sticking up for them.
but that's what I'm trying to.
I'm trying to. What are they going to say if they get asked a very direct question in a very public venue? Exactly that.
Well, Jim,
what would they
if
say?
these MSOs get asked a very that direct question in a public venue, that question will be going to a team of lawyers and lobbyists. So if you're wondering why the weed's so expensive here, we have to pay for the lawyers and the lobbyists to get to the weed.
But I'm trying. I know, but I'm trying to envision that going. Well, we'll get back to you as soon as we talk to our lawyers. Okay, that'd be a great answer. I'd love for them to do it. It's just that they're never in a position to be asked any more than our Senate president is,
again,
look what happened when the governor got sideswiped by a ask the governor question, where he so adeptly started out comparing us to New York having just recently legalized. So why in New Jersey can't we? And he was waiting for the legalized for adults also, but he switched right back over. Why can't we allow patients to grow some of their medicine? And you could almost see it in Murphy's face, like, and
he convoluted the issue with recreation.
Well, he said, well, I'm certainly open to that. But we have to get the program, the program has to mature. And that's exactly it. He either accidentally, he answered the wrong question. The question was about patients growing their own. But then one could say with a straight face, he must have meant that he thought the medical program wasn't mature enough yet, because if he was in fact answering the question, that would be the answer. And how wrong could that possibly be? so that's just a really cool example of something getting through their outer perimeter and score, especially with that misdirection, that wonderful misdirection. Since New York just legalized for adults there, like we did, why can't we in New Jersey let
So,
patients grow their own? That was awesome, man.
so what do you think? What do you think? This is this going to be the last podcast of the year? Is this your year recap, or are you going to have one more next week?
No, I'm just thinking the best I could ever do would be to be giving testimony in a committee hearing where I was in fact giving passionate testimony about exactly what the committee meeting's about. But if it has anything to do with cannabis, to sort of pivot to the point where I get out enough of a question before somebody says, listen, this is not what this meeting's been called for, and have like a perfect one-liner or two. You know, if there was ever a committee meeting called for an informational hearing, I'll be there, but it's been blocked. You know, I'll show myself out and then leave like that or something. You know, it's short of that, I don't know what else to do, but that's under serious consideration for January 8th at their health committee Senate hearing, and has to do with cannabis.
I think it's the 4th.
The 4th? You sure?
Thursday, the 4th.
So what are they doing on the 4th?
Well, there was something this week. There was something today, actually, about. Did you read that, Bill? What that was about today? About they were calling drug paraphernalia grow equipment. Grow equipment.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
that was today's?
That was today.
Oh.
good stuff. Yeah,
I
they really are doubling. See, that's the problem with leaving the home grow stuff on the books, is that they will continue to, put the law enforcement, political and industrial complex against cannabis home growers. And it just continues on. The legislature will continue to authorize bills. Counties will continue to put their narcotics task forces out there, and people will continue to get arrested.
Urban hippie.
Any updates on that, on any of the cases of this year you guys been following?
Well, Urban hippie just got arrested.
What happened there?
They were arrested with a couple pounds, quite a few pounds of weed.
Well, yeah, that wasn't at an event. That was
Were they were they
that was
wearing
at their
it in a
homes.
hat? Like, how did that go down?
At their homes at 5 a.m. raid, and they raided the farm owners, and they had nothing. And I need to get an Oprah request for the body cam, because they had 2 kids in wheelchairs that they put out in the cold for like a half hour. I want to know more about that, because they didn't find anything. They just hassled these people.
Where was
over
this?
weed. Over weed, which is legal, by the way.
Where was it? What town?
Williamstown, Salem County. And there was so much hubbub, so many protests out there, that they moved them to Cape May County. Cape May, yeah, because the judge was pissed off. Yeah, they had enough.
And then Jay is what county? He's in a different county. He's in because he lives in a different county. I forget which would it be?
Well, it's either Salem or Atlantic.
I'm not sure where he. I'm not sure, but anyway, and his trial date, his first court appearance is on the 21st of February. Whereas I don't know what happened with EJ's hearing that was scheduled for Tuesday. After, I mean, I look in at their Facebook presence, but it's not really like there to follow closely, after the abrupt change from showing up to actually wisely stop their somewhat noisy presence outside where EJ is being held. So I hadn't really heard if he's even got out yet, what bail might be for him. Everybody else is out. So
they actually fired a gun in Jason's basement. There was a gunshot, and when he went down there was a bullet, an unspent bullet, and a spent casing. So I told them to maybe look for the projectile. So there needs to be a report of that gun being fired. If there's no report of that gun being fired,
Well,
there's something.
wouldn't there be a body cam on at that time? I mean, don't they have body cams on whenever they do a
I would
search?
hope so.
They get to turn them on and off depending on, what they feel like.
Well, that's not good enough anymore. They got to be on all the time.
Somebody had a body cam on. One of those officers. Wasn't just one. So I want to see that. I want to see where that bullet got fired.
Well, would that be one of the officers' guns, or was that a gun in the house?
No, one of the officers. Apparently, Beretta has a gun where you and the bullet flies out after you shoot it. I don't know.
That's how guns work,
Well, it comes at the top though. On the Beretta, there's like a bullet in the top.
Yeah.
In addition to the bottom.
It releases from the chamber. He's talking about the bullet flying out of the top chamber there.
Yeah, yeah.
And in semi-automatic weapons, you can put a ready bullet in the chamber, and oftentimes people in the heat of the moment will recharge it, and so it'll spit out a bullet onto the floor, and then they'll fire one, and then it'll spit out the casing. So I'm a Quaker. Don't ask me how I know all that. But what do you call? Maybe they are going to allege that the marijuana fired the bullet. That's what that the marijuana picked up the gun and fired it at the police. That'll be the next thing.
Marijuana causes violence.
That sounds about right.
Only if you put a gun in its hands. If you put a gun in the hands of marijuana in location of police officers,
It will fire. It will cock itself back and fire.
We cannot tell you what the plant will do. I can just tell you that 3 million people in New Jersey voted for it. So, and that's, 3 million people in New Jersey voted for a plant. That's more votes than any politician ever got in New Jersey in one election ever. So, again, I feel good about New Jersey residents. 3 million of us will show up at the polls and vote for a plant. That is far fewer than ever showed up to vote for any presidential candidate. Somebody asked me, again, marijuana usually wins on the ballot. Only one person ever beat marijuana on the ballot. Do you know the answer to this quiz?
Hillary Clinton.
Oh, yeah. I probably told you this one in the past. Yeah, Hillary Clinton.
That's funny.
She did. I voted for her, but it was in California. In 2016, actually, the year the tyrant got elected, California voted to actually legalize marijuana finally. And Hillary Clinton was on the ballot with cannabis legalization, and she received more votes than cannabis did. And she is the only candidate in any state that ever had legalization on the ballot with themselves who ever beat the plant. So, yeah.
Or does she?
So what do you think about 2023? What do you think the year was like? How do you sum it up?
It was a wild year.
Chaotic
year.
Why do you say that?
Well, for Bongholio and El Rampador, we were very busy.
That's true. You were getting like spot psychiatry checked on the sidewalk and stuff.
Yeah, I got a psychological evaluation on the sidewalk.
That's very Kafka-esque.
And this is after they were following you back and forth across the crosswalk.
Yeah.
The first question was, do you feel like people are following you sometimes? No, or watching you? Yeah, watching you.
That was one of the great questions.
Yeah, well,
only if they have a badge.
Yeah.
Then I feel like they do.
Yeah, I feel like that when I see them there,
Yeah. Only when I see the badge, I feel like they're looking at me.
Yeah, and you're looking at me right now, dude. I feel
like
you're looking at me. That's amazing.
So what do you call so that was So the sidewalk psych evaluation. So 2023 equals sidewalk psych evaluation.
That was a highlight. Bongholia
Okay.
winning every Halloween contest again was a highlight. That was always fun to watch that. All the
You guys
council.
are terrible. You're like Andre the Giant of Halloween parties. You're gonna have to let somebody else win after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, change the rules.
Oh, change the rules. That's right.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
have a not costume party this year.
Yeah. No, it's
You have to come
certain,
naked
yeah.
with no costume. Win that one, guys.
You know, they
Win
have to
that
have
one.
a list of things you wouldn't have and include human bongs or something. Oh yeah.
No, you guys will get around that. Only a naked party will do. You'd have to show up with no costume and no clothes. That would be the only party that you wouldn't win. That maybe you would win, and at least be an even shot. Okay.
I was going to go with Stephen Hawking this year, but I couldn't get the mask. There was a really cool
Ooh.
Stephen Hawking mask. I
Oh
couldn't get
man.
it. It looked real, and I was going to have my computer with the Stephen Hawking voice to
Oh my
hooked up
God.
to a huge speaker, and I was going to like troll people. Like, I can't
Oh
get
my
in there. My
God.
wheelchair access. This sucks in this building. Or
Oh my
I
God.
was going to
Wow.
hit on chicks. Yeah, I was going to hit on chicks and stuff. It was going to be funny.
Wow. That is intense. That's like the guys who go out with the Bugatti Veyron and try and pick up chicks. You're like,
It was
I'm
Mikey's
missing-
idea. Mikey
you're like
wanted
Stephen. You're like accessible gold digging out there with a Stephen Hawking mask. That's
Just-
not fair.
Yes.
People
yes.
know who he is. He's like famous accessible. So
Was he a hound dog or what? I mean, did he chase after
I don't
chicks?
know.
I don't see the connection in that part. I kind of
you
went
have
like,
to ask
funny.
Stephen Hawking about the
But-
pictures of
Yeah.
Uranus. That's when you'll
There
know.
you go.
So
maybe he misunderstood that and then started him off in the wrong direction. Yeah.
can you imagine his computer doing a lecture on Uranus? You know what I mean? That would be very tough to listen. It would be very tough to listen to the Stephen Hawking lecture on Uranus. I don't know. But so what else in 2020? Here are my memories of 2023.
Oh, yours is
Pureleaf
first of all,
lost their what's that?
the yacht trip was the most amazing thing I ever seen was you yachting around through
there
Panama
you go.
Canal.
Yeah.
That was the most
That's
amazing
why
thing
he asked. He
I've
knows he
ever
got top spot.
seen.
on
No,
that,
no.
man.
Come on.
What
can
did
talk
you
about that for
guys
an hour.
do?
What did you
Oh,
guys
I would-
do? I yachted around
yachting
Panama
around
Canal.
Yeah, I was just, I did catch those 45-pound mahi, but I don't know what you guys were up to.
No, we were following that pretty close.
That was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of
It
That
was,
was
but
a sailboat in a sailboat.
definitely a vicarious enjoyment.
that was awesome. I don't get jealous. I'm about to go back in January and
Really?
go get the boat in Bahamas. So,
Nice.
but what do you call? No, actually, while I was out there, I was going to say, like, policy wise, this year, Curaleaf losing their license for like 48 hours.
A day, yeah, 2 days.
Yeah, I mean that. I was on the boat actually. I was in. I was actually already down. Down way south in Mexico on 420. I was in Acapulco. That happened around 420, actually, 420 of this year, because that was when the annual permits were like up for renewal for the first time, essentially. And they pulled Curaleaf's permits for 48 hours over all kinds of stuff. But basically union busting was why they pulled their permits. And then it turns out that the New Jersey Attorney General, the same guy that you and I filed price gouging complaints with, pressured the NJCRC to give the permits back. At least that's the gist of the story that was released by NJ.com. So to me, and then what happened this week, I was at that NJCRC meeting in early December when they just about did the same thing to Columbia Care. They basically threatened Columbia Care with pulling their permits just like they had done to Curaleaf. And they were like, but we're not going to do it today. And they gave all these reasons. But in my head, I was like, but we're not going to do it today because we already went through this with Curaleaf and we don't feel like getting pressure from the top down to give the permit back again. I do think that the other thing this year, and that came up in the article this week, is that all this year, even though CRC has been doing their job, like Senator Gopal, Senator Scutari, they've been talking about essentially disbanding the CRC. I mean, that is crazy talk from a bunch of really hubris-filled, overly powerful Democrats. I mean, that is some serious crazy talk right there. And Republicans too. They don't like the CRC either. Nobody likes the CRC over in the legislature. No surprise, because a lot of the legislators used to be owners of dispensaries, part owners, like Senator Mukherjee. So, Senator Raj Mukherjee was at one point like part owner of like more than a dozen dispensaries in the region. So now I think he's divested and realigned himself to be in accordance with no conflicts of interest in the ethics. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody's really looked at that with him or other legislators. But New Jersey was one of the rare states that ran a medical marijuana program where legislators could be owners of businesses, essentially. So we've had a pretty corrupt program for a long time. And I think that the last couple of years of the NJCRC actually is helping balance stuff out. I was skeptical of a couple of the commissioners early on because of their background. But honestly, the group has done a pretty darn good job. I have to give them a lot of credit for standing up to the industry and at the same time standing up to a bunch of jerky legislators. They've been really in the middle of it all year this year. So I think NJCRC gets the Unsung Hero of the Year award. I think that they've done a lot of work. The whole staff, the team over there has tried their hardest. The whole time the legislature is telling them that they're going to shut them down. And they've got a bunch of big international companies telling them that they suck and throwing lobbyists and lawyers at them. They've done a pretty good job. So this year, I think NJCRC did a good job. And one of the most memorable things I think is that they tried to pull Curaleaf's permit. So, and I think if it were just up to them, I'm not sure a lot of these MSOs would have permits at this point. But clearly, it's not just up to them.
2023 was the second half of 2022-2023 legislative session, of course. But as the second half of the 2-year game, a lot of it was spent with our Senate president saying how the CRC is and other things are slowing down getting the program started. I mean, it wasn't happening at first as quickly as he'd like. I mean, look how long it take to get the first sales going. But while he's complaining about that, home grow for patients bill was not allowed to even so much as have a hearing. So the dichotomy of him going in two opposite directions with two opposite things, and one having pretty direct effect on people of ill health and very little financial picture, that he hasn't been held accountable at all for that. And he ran out the clock. I mean, he ran out the clock the entire game after running out the clock at the end of the season before that. And I'm just saying, like, if that kind of absurdity can't be used to get way better action just to make something stop happening, make it stop looking as bad as it does, to have a hearing, because to me, I don't think people realize it, both in the Assembly with Herb Conway and in the Senate with our Senate president. They're both saying some form of there's no will in the committee, there's no will in the Senate of it, there's no will. But they're saying no, there's no will, while at the same time blocking the information that would create the will to go further. So they're cutting the information short, which is, a backdoor censorship of that information that would be gleaned from a committee hearing where people come and speak both for and against an issue, and committee members are allowed to ask them questions, and they'll be both for and against that for sure. So there's a process that it's totally being denied, with no need to explain ever. And, so I've given up on this session, but I'm going to see if there isn't some way to make it an issue that this needs to be first in line, whatever the first committee, the health committee hearing is, it needs to be posted, and that our Senate president he could certainly tell Joe Vitelli now that it's okay to post when it gets reintroduced in the beginning of the new session. Now, he won't even do that, but that's why I want to make that the question now. Will he be able to do it in the first committee, session of the health committee, so that he either runs from that question or says no to it now? I don't, don't want to wait for it to begin. I'd rather give up this part of the race. It's obviously lost. It's not going to have a hearing. So I don't really know where the opportunities lay for that, but.
Or I had to take a quick call. All right, so you were talking about the possibilities for next year.
No, I'm talking about giving, obviously, there's only one more chance. It's not going to happen, but to say there's absolutely no reason why our Senate president couldn't give Senate Chairman of the Senate Health Committee, Vitelli, permission now. For next session, you're still going to be the head of the health committee. I'm still going to be the Senate president. I'm telling you now that you can post that for an informational hearing the first time that Senator Singleton asks you to the next session. He could say that now or run from that question now or dance around it now. But either way, I'd rather make him tap dance earlier rather than
Jim,
later, because
Jim, remember, Senate President Scutari wasn't supposed to be the Senate president yet. Steve Sweeney was not supposed to lose his election.
I know.
He was supposed to still be the Senate president, then run for governor, and then Scutari was supposed to be Senate president.
Yeah.
So all this is very uncomfortable for these guys.
Yeah.
Scutari, I have to say, has not been very good as a Senate president. He doesn't really connect with voters, and I have to say that it's really tough being a Democrat in New Jersey watching him be the Senate president. It really is kind of everything wrong with the party. So I have to say I don't think he's there by seniority and by the way New Jersey politics works right now. But man, I'll tell you, so what do you guys think about Steve Sweeney running for governor, by the way? Are you going to vote for Steve?
I think it would be then just what you said. All he did was miss another 2 years as a senator and skip right to going for governor. And I think stranger things have happened. I mean, I don't know the real political dynamics of it. Honestly, I don't know what to think.
Look, Steve Sweeney lost his seat. He lost his seat in the Senate
to a truck driver.
In a district that only, look, that's the thing, Jim. It only took like 30,000 votes to win that district.
Yep.
You could have won that district. It was a different district than what you would running in Burlington County. Herb Conway's district is ginormous compared to the Steve Sweeney district, home district down there in Gloucester County. So honestly, that guy went out there, beat Steve Sweeney with 30,000 votes. How is a guy who's going to get beat in a 60,000 vote election going to win a state seat in 2024? Or I'm sorry, not that election, 25. But how will that happen for Steve Sweeney? It won't. Also, I don't like him as a governor's choice. So far I don't like anybody out as a governor's choice right now in New Jersey. And
there you go.
The only race I like right now is Andy Kim for U.S. Senate. I mean, that's the only race I've kind of in my head decided so far, unless somebody else comes along better. But right now, I don't like any of the Democrats' choices right now, and top Democratic leadership like Senate President Scutari, man, it is just a tired old record in Trenton, and it is not playing well with young voters. So I don't know what to say. They say they're making the state more affordable. $75 an eighth marijuana, $45 an eighth for patients. That's not affordable. It's affordable for billionaires. I ain't a billionaire. Most of the state is not a billionaire.
It's the bros and Maseratis.
The
you don't need a bill. Yeah,
Senate president has also. I've been going back, spending a little time now, couple of days, just looking back and finding specific quotes attributed to Senator Scutari and anything that connects him to this.
Scutari.
Certainly more than a couple of times. He's really been out of sorts because it was taking too long for prices to come down. He wanted prices to, but he's talking about the adult market, which is also now the medical market all morphed into one. But he has had 0.0 interactions and anything to do with the medical side of this. Oh yeah, and I did a Lefty saw I'm getting my files back together. They disappeared on me. That where he said something about feeling like the godfather of cannabis, where he sort of bestowed that title on himself. So I've got that segregated, but I'm just trying to get all that
He is the
done.
Napoleon of New Jersey. We've decided that Nicholas Scutari is the
Scuteri.
Napoleon of New Jersey. Even if he wants to call himself the godfather of cannabis, which kind of godfather is he? He does not look like Al Pacino. He will never ever look as good as Al Pacino does. So he can't be that kind of godfather. Maybe he's like the old godfather. What
Oh,
was that old? Was that old gangster actor name guy, the short guy? He was like, yeah, come on in here.
oh,
You know what I mean?
Edward G.
Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
He looks exactly
Yeah,
like Edward
you
G.
know what?
Robinson.
That's a good one.
Oh my God.
I was gonna say
Oh my God. Why did we not think it? He looks exactly like him.
Yeah, see?
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. Oh,
you did it to him. Now I'm gonna do it to you. See?
oh my God.
I was
He
gonna
looks
say
exactly like him, though. He really does.
I was gonna go in with Corporal Agorn.
Oh my God. No, Everett G. Robinson is perfect because Everett G. Robinson was kind of like the same height as
Oh, it is.
Scutari, too.
Yeah, it
they
is.
were
And-
they were really
And
that is too close.
I could see
Oh.
him rounding out a little more and getting a little
So
older.
how do
and
we bring back
looking more
Edward
like
G.
him.
Robinson for the movie on Netflix that we're gonna do? We have to have Robinson play Scutari now. There's just no other.
Yeah, gotta shift
Wait,
the cast
wait,
around.
we can do it with AI. We can do it with computers, just like
definitely.
Disney does. We'll have Edward G. Robinson play Senate
Yeah.
President Nicholas Scutari, and we'll just do it like
Listen.
Star Wars, like Lucas.
Well,
It'll be perfect.
Can't you must have access to here. I want to see AI
No,
combine.
now Sean Connery can play Ken Wolski.
But
We'll do Edward G. Robinson as
more from
Scutari.
together though. I mean, that can be done. I've seen it done before. Two
Oh.
people's features mixed together. You get
Oh
Edward G.
yes,
and
we will deep fake this entire thing. It will be
Scooter.
awesome. It'll be the deep fake Netflix documentary of New Jersey marijuana legalization.
If it had faces morphed together and somewhere there's a freaking app that can do that. Here's two pictures. What would it look like if you combined traits of both in one picture? And then
Jim, Jim, we have to teach you how to use AI because that's literally what it does.
Yeah,
you
well,
will
Yeah,
you will eat a mushroom chocolate bar and take an ounce of marijuana, and I'll see you like next month.
Yeah, you're supposed to
I need that in my
volunteer,
life.
see? Instead of saying you need to show me how to do it, you were supposed to say, "Yeah, I'll get right on that." That's how it works.
No way, man. I'm gonna give you an instruction in AI along with a mushroom chocolate bar, and I'll see you like in a month. And at the end of it, you're gonna have like a hard drive full of images. You're gonna be like, "Woo!"
I'll come out with costumes all made. Oh, I had to make up these masks. Look at it,
Oh my God. I used a prompt today. I put my AI prompt was bipartisan Muppet turkeys testifying before Congress, photorealistic. And I came up, you should look at, I put the meme up there today. It really spit out some beautiful Muppet turkeys for me. And they were very bipartisan. They were blue and red. It was like so perfect.
Beautiful.
So,
purple.
But like, the thing for New Jersey is that's what I use that one to make fun of Pennsylvania because now that Ohio is legalized marijuana, Pennsylvania is really sticking out like a sore thumb. They got Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania arrested 12,000 people. And it's an example of bipartisanship because it takes Democrats and Republicans to either change the law or maintain prohibition when every fucking state around you is doing something else. So, people say something about the political climate of America being people at each other's throats, but damn, I watched Democrats and Republicans hand in hand maintain prohibition in Pennsylvania this year. It was like bipartisanship 101. And at the same time, just like New Jersey, Pennsylvania has passed a series of bills to better accommodate the corporate cannabis industry, give them a lot of leeway. In fact, Pennsylvania passed a bill this year that would allow those companies to write off their taxes in the way that IRS 280E prevents companies from doing that at the federal level. So Pennsylvania already did that. Are you cheering that?
Yeah.
Or are you hitting the weed?
We have a
You're
little
both.
game we're playing with the car. He sent me the car with the joint in the top. I don't know if you saw it.
I couldn't see that from here.
And we have this thing where if you can get the car to just go to the edge without falling, and it literally went like to the edge without falling. It was amazing. That was a good shot. Good shot, Bear. Wow.
That's
You
like,
beat me.
you know how the Maya had those games where they had to kick heads and balls through those things on the ball courts?
I love that game.
That's what you guys are playing with cars and joints right now. This is your Maya game right here. This is it.
You can't do
Just
heads.
don't do it with rolling heads. Just keep doing it with joints.
We don't do that
Don't
anymore.
ever do it
Ripping
with
their
heads.
hearts out and showing it to them. No, we don't do that anymore.
Wow. Yeah, don't rip any hearts out and stick it on the little car in your Fred Rogers village. That would be
Fred Rogers Village.
That's what you guys look like. Isn't that what
Really?
you're going for? You look
Yeah,
like I swear
Pee-wee.
to God, you look like it's the Fred Rogers town in a field of weed. Like it's like you need puppets is what you need. You need a Daniel the Tiger or something like that, you know?
I had one.
If I ever come up there, I'm bringing puppets. Just saying.
No, we do need puppets. I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is. I have one.
No. You need like Fred Rogers had. Daniel the Tiger wasn't just a puppet. It was the Fred Rogers alter ego. You need your alter ego puppet. So it can like do like anger therapy and stuff with you. That's what you need.
That's
Get
a
deep
great
with the
idea.
puppet.
I could tell
Like
my
a whole-
my troubles to the puppet.
It's
And
a
I'm like-
whole Fred Rogers, man. You got to watch. You guys
I know.
need to watch some more Mr. Rogers if you're gonna have a set like that, especially. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not that nice. I'm just
Start wearing sweaters.
There's a great documentary about. There's a couple of great
Angry.
documentaries.
angry Mr. Rogers.
No. If you have a set like that, you're doing homage to the Rogers, man. You're doing Rogers homage right now.
Would you do?
So, all year this year, how much weed did you smoke from the dispensary versus not the dispensary? Would you say, just roughly,
All of it.
I think 100%.
from the dispensary?
No, I bought some
No.
dispensary weed for a reason. I don't know why. So maybe 98%.
Not from the dispensary. 100%.
Not from the dispensary. So when you say not from the dispensary, it comes from somebody you know, trust,
outside
or
the
do you
the dispensary.
Yeah, anywhere but the dispensary. Like outside.
from
like literally
someone
down the street
from someone in a truck, literally parked outside the dispensary, right?
Literally.
I'm gonna meet you at the dispensary in the parking lot. That would
Chris,
be fun.
opening day of Maplewood. I went to opening day of Maplewood. There was a guy on a bench giving out his business card. Wasn't selling weed.
Oh, yeah.
Giving out his card
that.
for weed.
Facts.
Yeah, I go to a man.
That's like Girl Scout cookies, man. That is good.
So smart.
a van down by the river. I got a guy.
You got a guy.
So I got a guy.
So Chris, you're kind of a Democrat. You are a Democrat.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, I voted for one Republican in my whole life, and that was Gary Johnson when I lived in New Mexico. So,
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what did you think about Trump being taken off the Colorado ballot?
oh man, what a tangled web we weave. I mean, Colorado is a cool state because of its modern constitution. So that's why they were able to legalize cannabis in 2012 in an innovative way with their constitution. That's why they don't have a lot of discrimination. That's why a lot of people who are leaving Florida because of Governor DeSantis are moving to Colorado because it's like the complete opposite. They also have a really strong Supreme Court, and the way they run elections out there, it makes sense that they made that decision. I know that's a long answer, but I have been following this. What people are going to feel like is also different from what the legal reality is, right? So it's going to get challenged in the Supreme Court,
Ooh.
and that's going to be a big question. No state has ever really tried to do this. They kind of did it to Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, actually. Gary Johnson ran for the Libertarian Party president and Jill Stein in the Green Party. And the states don't, the states and the parties pretty much try and keep anybody but the top candidates off the ballots already. They don't go usually this far. As
People don't go that far to get thrown off. To be
fair, no, we're talking.
In other words,
Let me be clear. Okay, let me make my opinion clear. Donald Trump is a tyrant. He is not only a tyrant, he's a dangerous tyrant. He's driven by nothing related to logic or the betterment of the country, and he really is kind of an old school, ancient throwback to what tyranny can be.
Okay, I have a question. I got one question for you. Right, you say he's a tyrant and everything, and you say that basically in a nutshell, you said his tactics are chaotic, correct?
No.
Okay, so what were you saying as far as his tactics?
Well, I mean, certainly everybody around him and the way he runs everything is chaotic, but that's also indicative of how a lot of tyrants have run their administrations throughout history. Mm-hmm. The problem with Donald Trump is that he's nothing new. Okay, he's just kind of like they have 100-year storms where you don't see a storm. We've only had this republic for 260 years. Okay, so this country hasn't been around that long. This is the first real tyrant we've had to deal with ever. Okay, and he won't be the last. All right, so we have to figure out, if we're going to go further with this whole experiment, we have to figure out how to deal with a tyrant like him, because he's the first one to come along to try and utilize our system against us. That's what a tyrant does, okay? A tyrant just doesn't want to make your system chaos and throw it away. A tyrant wants your system, wants to use your system, already benefits from the worst of it, and wants to continue the worst of corruption. They've been around, again, and they screwed up really good times in other places in history. And the question is, how long will our time get screwed up by this tyrant? That's the question.
Understood.
So, I mean, look, chaos is what we fight all the time. I mean, I fight chaos with my cat, just trying to put up decorations on a Christmas tree.
Pretty much.
So, but when you talk about trying to organize hundreds of millions of people, this country was created as an elite guardianship, where it wasn't a democracy at all. It was for land-owning white males. And somehow the experiment of America was supposed to be letting more people into the same privilege that was originally created. And somehow everyone getting at what they feel like is an equal share of the citizenship privilege of America, right? But that was like creating a bathroom with 14 stalls and trying now to let 300 million people take a shit in them satisfactorily, right? Not going to happen.
Impossible.
And we haven't really expanded the bathroom enough. We haven't built the plumbing. And that's kind of where we are today. We can upgrade the house, all right? We have a set of documents and a structure that is built for a much smaller group of people. And now we are pressing 400 million in this country. A diverse, dynamic 400 million people who really don't want chaos, who really do want a nice, well-ordered life to order their shit to their front door, like weed at Amazon. Everybody wants their drone-delivered weed. They want it. It's happening. But hey.
We want it now.
I'll take it.
Donald Trump will upend that.
But
I'm telling you, he will be the tyrant to stop your drone-delivered weed.
Yeah, he's against weed. He wants to give the death penalty.
I agree with that. He is against weed. But like any other politician, Donald Trump, like a true tyrant did, he spent his entire administration never saying the word cannabis, never saying the word marijuana.
He didn't.
He said every other word in the dictionary. He said made up words. He said words that nobody can understand. But he managed to avoid those too. What fear strikes in the heart of him from this plant? A deep one. Okay.
What did Obama do for weed, though? What did Obama do for weed?
What did Obama do
Legalize
for
it.
weed?
When he was in Chicago, he was so liberal. He was for weed, and all of a sudden he became president. And it's like, oh, we can't legalize weed. Why?
Look, when you become president, you know that they take you in the basement and they introduce you to the Area 51 aliens, and they all convince you. They tell you that they tell you the truth about marijuana, Lefty. It's from space. Okay,
well, there's
the
three
politicians.
Illuminati.
They know that the marijuana is from space, and everyone who smokes it is then assimilated, right? You know.
I got a
No,
question.
I don't know.
All these
That's
presidents,
practically
man,
how
none
they.
of these guys are. I don't like any of them. Any
Yeah,
of
but
them.
there's something else that shouldn't sneak up on while you're being concerned about this is what the asswipe Kennedy, Robert, right? Bobby Kennedy.
Oh,
Yeah, he says that keeping Donald Trump off the ballot is not going to be accepted by his base, and there's going to be like riots and stuff. And I'm thinking like that sounds like a freaking dog whistle to me. You know, it's sort of
they're
like
already
saying,
insurrectionists. These
yeah,
are look, here's the problem though, Jim. Honestly, I mean the problem with all of them is that in order to counter it, you have to have something else, right? Democrats are in a tough position because the Republican Party is going to be effectively done. 2024 is going to be a tough year, okay, for politics. And we do like state level ballot reform, cannabis politics. That's been our bread and butter, at least mine, for decades, right? And I have to tell you that the Trump administration has really screwed up politics as usual, okay? All of this political strife has effectively destroyed the Republican Party of New Jersey, the Republican Party of Pennsylvania, the Republican Party nationally. There used to be Republican legislators I could actually have a conversation with. They're no longer in the legislature. They all quit, retired, or decided to give up, or they've actually just like drank the Kool-Aid and kind of gone crazy with this Trump stuff. There's nobody left really to talk to, and that is a real problem. The Democrats have another problem, is that once the Republican Party is over, one party doesn't make a republic. You know, once the Republican Party's done, the Democrats have done such a good job of suppressing progressive parties and the Green Party and everything like that, that there's not even another next party, second party for them to work with. They've really isolated power to the point where it's a problem. And I'm saying that as a Democrat. So, my problem is in this next election, I already hear the rhetoric: vote for President Biden or democracy's over. That is not going to bring people to the polls. Young people are not going to respond well to that. They're going to hide under their pillows, and the Democrats are going to have one of their worst reckonings in a long time if they don't change their tune quick. So, and this is the other thing, you know, Governor Josh Shapiro, John Fetterman, President Biden, Nick Scutari, all these Democrats have lured cannabis voters for a long time. We, right here, cannabis consumers who vote, cannabis patients who vote, we are the largest, most misunderstood dynamic voting bloc in the country. They all want us. At election time, they all pander directly to us, and we all take the bait. But the truth is, you peel off even half of us, and you got a whole new party in this country. So somebody's going to have a better platform than both these parties for us one day. And cannabis voters are dynamic enough that if they're out there out front with the marijuana issues, they could peel a lot of voters off right quick. So I don't know. I mean, that's me being optimistic.
We're like cats, though. We're a bunch of cats in a voting block, like a cat race. You fire off the gun and they go in all different directions. You know,
No, Jim. I'm telling you,
if we're this
people
big of
want
voting,
certain
you don't
things.
vote together.
Yes, we do. We vote together when the plant it matters.
Okay,
all right.
Who's the cannabis candidates we trust? This, you know, I mean,
okay,
who
good
are
question. Because even post legalization, show me a candidate out there smoking weed. Show me one member of the legislature instead of having a beer party, having a marijuana party. Show me one
that is
proud.
indeed strange.
It is, I would say, indeed strange. Nobody's really helping break the stigma. The same people who arrested us are now the same people who are taxing us. And unfortunately, they're on the other side of a we're not using thing. So again, cannabis consumers are a bigger, more visible block. Legalization has changed culture for us, maybe not the politicians. So maybe it's time for us to change the culture of politicians.
Well, we don't do a lot of things together. There's, again, a 2 year delay, running out the clock, happening easily, never in question to our Senate president, because he knows us, this huge block, isn't going to do squat about it together. We're not. We never do. Not in New Jersey. Yeah, I haven't seen any big.
That's because they have us split up, Jim. Look, the Democrats have it good in New
we
Jersey
have we have ourselves split up a little bit. I can't.
No, I mean as voters. I mean as generally as even as Democratic voters. I don't vote for Nicholas Scutari. He's up in Linden. Okay, he has a tremendous amount of concentrated power because of the way we do things in New Jersey. And unfortunately, that whole phrase encompasses if you're politically aware in New Jersey, when you say the way we do things in New Jersey, it's like a whole bunch of books that you've already read on how that's done. And it sucks. I think that changing that dynamic is very difficult because, again, it's well structured.
Shit.
But again, in Philadelphia, they've done that. They've created the Working Families Party. That's filled the gap of the Republicans over there with a progressive arm instead of a conservative one. I think that's a totally possible shift in the state of New Jersey. I mean, I think that you could take that Working Party's family format and add in a lot of criminal justice reform and cannabis and make something that appeals to a heck of a lot of New Jersey voters. That's my opinion. I don't know. So would you run for council as like a third party candidate in the future, Jim?
No, me.
No, you'd never run again?
No, I'm living in Mount Laurel, but my mailing address and my actual home is in Toms River. So, actually,
that's okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like what's his name? That sounds like Dr. Oz. I think you should run for Pennsylvania Senate instead. So, because we should all run for Pennsylvania Senate next year. That would be really funny. Well, run for Bob Casey.
Actually, some of us should run for some office or another. I mean, everybody should do it at least once.
So, Lefty, where are you? Bayonne, New Jersey?
Yes.
Oh, that has a city council. You should run for that.
Yeah, at least school board. I have some great news.
You want to run for school board? I wouldn't want to run for school board.
No, they need wheelchair access in the schools here. that's my one issue. And I can actually
you should run for city council then. That would actually get you more effective role in that.
I wouldn't win that though.
What?
Yeah, but
I can win a school board with 500 votes.
Yeah, but you gotta run to win.
I'm going to Ballotpedia.
No, you win something even when you don't lose. I mean, geez, okay, I ran for Senate. I knew I was going to lose, so why'd I do it?
That's true. I can get my point across.
I got 2,038 votes. 4.6%
issue person,
6% or 2%.
Well, here's my great news. Hotbox for Home Grow is January 25th.
Yes, I have tents.
And guess
I have
what?
Many tents. I have great tents for this.
What's the good news? I think I know, but tell me.
Guess what else happens on the 25th?
The rat.
The rat. And guess what else happens on the 25th?
The rat.
First day of the second session.
Is it? Yeah, it's a legislative session day.
It's day one. Day one. Welcome to your session with the big rat, inflatable rat.
That's actually good. That's excellent timing.
Good timing.
Well, then you got to make sure that you stay on top of the rat, because there's a good chance that's not going to happen, in my opinion.
I know. I got to keep on top of it.
Let's not talk about it.
Let's not talk about the rat.
You want to blow it up one time,
Yeah, let's not talk about the rat right now.
No.
But we're going to get it.
What's wrong with the rat?
Nothing. We're going to get it, though.
Are you saying that the rat needs a blue pill to get inflated?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to order something for the rat?
You want to get to be 15 feet, you need help.
That's funny. That's really funny. So yeah, 2023 was funny. I mean, I think policy-wise in New Jersey, we watched the CRC try and regulate cannabis. At the end of the year, we have what, 65 businesses opening, 67 businesses in the
More than
adult use.
Walmart's.
Yeah, but I mean, and they're all, I mean, they are like Walmart's. They're all selling the same product amongst each other for an equally high price.
Crap.
So it's not really like a Walmart. It's more like I don't know, like a
they sell
boutique
to,
jeweler. It's like Robin's Eighth and Walnut or something. So
well, what's the stuff? Okay, what does it cost for me to buy something at a Walmart in Delaware?
the same as it would cost you here. Thank God, less the tax,
Yeah.
less the sales tax. So
yeah,
because it's Delaware.
well, but Delaware, okay, bad example. Somewhere where their MSO dispensary
Well,
has something half hour price. Their Walmarts aren't half hour price, is my point.
okay, well, here's the sick part is definitely they're not charging double for aspirin in New Jersey. They're not charging double for ibuprofen. They're not charging double for insulin. They don't get to charge double for medicine here in New Jersey that they do in other states, even though they locally manufacture it in other states. Look, they can argue that there's this local manufacturing component, that the real estate's more expensive, but it can't be more expensive than New York City. It can't be more expensive than Los Angeles or San Francisco. Like these companies operate, when I say they operate in multiple states, they're operating in California, they're operating in Maine, they're operating in New York and Chicago, they're operating in big cities, and they're operating in Plainfield, New Jersey, and Maplewood, and places like that, Lodi. So tell me what's more expensive about New Jersey, other than the fact that they've lobbied to get away with charging more, that they have the active, visible protection of the New Jersey Senate president as an industry. He's out there. He won't even let us have home grow to protect them from us. like we're standing here with gardening tools and pitchforks, like standing at their doors. Should there be a day? There is not. That is not what's happening. We're simply asking for police to stop harassing cannabis consumers for growing cannabis. And the industry feels like it has the protection of the Senate president. When the CRC is trying to pull Columbia Cares permits and Curaleaf's permits, oh, look, here's Senate President Scutari saying that he'll just dissolve the CRC. I mean, look, honestly, 3 million voters are getting had at this point. It's been a corporate giveaway. And honestly, I'm not sure that if you recall, I'm sure you do, all these companies said that they promised that the medical marijuana program would not fall on the wayside, that there would be more and more patients every year. That is not what's happened. There have been less and less patients, and it's been more and more expensive. So, look, I mean,
a good point you were making. The pharmaceuticals aren't sold at different prices in different states at the same RX place, like a Walgreens or something. But I forget where it came into play, but there's something official in New Jersey about medical cannabis is to be considered on par with prescription medicine when it comes to dealing with medicine, which this is.
Well, I mean, the Jay Koenig Act, they've been very careful. I have to tell you, because of lawyers and medical groups and lobbyists for large healthcare interests, they were very careful to make sure that they didn't cross a legal guideline that would have anybody come into court. Because, you have to remember that New Jersey judges have already awarded workman's comp on medical marijuana. They've already awarded workman's comp on this. So there's a legal precedent for essentially covering the cost of cannabis to people who need it.
Well, there's the bill that got through unanimously 313 a year and a half ago that Lefty and I testified at. Went to whatever financial considerations committee. I forget the name of the committee. It's where they go to die. Nobody knows what happens. It just disappeared.
No.
It just disappeared. Why?
It's not that it went to a place that usually dies either. I have to say it went to a place that usually forwards. And that's what's mysterious
No,
about
I meant to say we're a cannabis bill. I'm thinking in terms of where is this bill going to die? Because we certainly can't have it being treated on par with prescription medications as one actual, I believe, is part of a law of somehow operating when we have the pharmaceutical for the aged and disabled, pharmaceutical, which marijuana in the bill, or cannabis, maybe even, I don't know which it says.
Look,
but it's not, and that means that there should be at least a reason that it didn't get out for a committee vote. But I mean, somebody should know that reason, and it shouldn't be a secret. What happened to it? We should know. I mean,
the reason is that every day that cannabis is not paid for by insurance.
Yeah, that's the reason. But what are they going to say? I'm saying they need to be brought into it. Doesn't matter if we know the reason. It doesn't matter if
just
John
another bill that didn't get around. I mean, you're gonna get, what the answer.
Somebody had. No, I don't care if I know what the answer is. They didn't say it. We let them get away without saying what it is because we figure it out, and that's good enough for us. And that's a big damn mistake.
No, I bet somebody wrote about it, but we can't afford to read it because it's behind a $300 a year paywall.
Ask them. We don't have to look out for records. They're real people, really doing business. And as an example, I could go to that health committee hearing. I'm sure I'm gonna, and I will have something to hand out, the questions for appropriate people. And I want to know why, for Ed Dorr, I want to know why he didn't ask Nick Scutari to post a 342 for a hearing. He signed on. He looked good about it. Left to me. He went to a goddamn fundraiser. I want my $40 back. He misrepresented himself, and I get to tell him that because he's not even there. He's dismissed.
I want my 40 back.
I get to say whatever.
Wow.
I mean, I get to be involved. I'm not talking about the passion I would display right now. I'm talking about in my suit and doing everything just right. And Nick Scutari will make an appearance there. It'll be through the back door, and he won't get anywhere near anything. But I can certainly ask the sergeant at arms. Senate President Scutari wanted me to bring this to him. Could you give that to him, please? They'll do it. They will. I mean, I can go looking for these opportunities, and that's, there's those simple, good questions that we can figure out, but Jesus Christ, we don't even know. We never made anybody say why, and Nick Scutari knows what happened to the original home grow. I mean, he had it taken out. He knows why it was taken out. He can't say, I don't know why it was taken out, but he's never had to say, he's never been asked that.
It's always been, look, it's I know, okay.
I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess who it is either. If they don't want to tell us something, we should want them to tell us something and know that's a weak point. We should capitalize on that, not just accept it. My God.
Dude, the ACLU has been suing the ACLU. Get them on record, Jim. I wish we could, but the truth is that New Jersey has a problem with transparency. We have a sunshine problem in the state. Yeah. We have too many reporters suing for Oprah records. Right now, there's so many Oprah requests that there's a battle. Steve Fulop, who's also running for governor and is the current mayor of Jersey City. Everybody's attacking Oprah, which is not the television show host from Chicago, but the Open Public Records Act and OPRA. And this is something that a lot of people file, left you talk about it. So imagine if you took that away. Wouldn't things be easier if you were a politician if you just take away Oprah? Because that's what they're talking about doing.
Remember the office of the public advocate that we had till about 20 years ago? No, 8. I forget where that disappeared. But there was that system in New Jersey where you could actually go to a governmental office that did that, and then we got rid of that. And there was a surprise shock, I mean, it's not like they were that effective, but
there's something called OLS, the Office of Legislative Services, back in the day, and they had this information communications officer who dealt with public requests. I went to this guy. This was during the Christie administration when they issued the first 6 medical marijuana permits, and I was still a board member at the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey. And I had a running conversation with this guy, and he would not go public with his name. And we were blogging about information he was giving us. And I called him and I was like, so how do I find out who these people are and see the applications. And he was like, well, I guess you'd ask me. And I was like, well, that's like great, right? Because we know each other. So how do I get them? He goes, well, you come to my office and you fill out this form. And I did it. And I was like, oh, geez, man, I don't think anybody else has these. And I did. I got back to Ken and I was like, look, this guy gave me a C. I went back to Ken's house because he's right there in Trent. And we sat at the computer and we looked at them and I was like, oh, shit. Like, these are unredacted applications from Harmony and all these places for the stuff. They gave me the applications that won and the ones that lost. There were 19 applications total.
Wow.
And some of them had filed applications. Essentially, a bunch of them had filed applications to operate in, you had to file North, South, Central, or whatever is the regional. And they filed a separate application for all three regions. But anyway, that's when we found out that the original Harmony had all the Russian crazy stuff in it and all these people. So I immediately used this. At the time, there weren't many places where you could do a document dump. There wasn't like Google Docs really. And we used something called Scribd, which is still around. And I uploaded the documents and I sent them around to a bunch of reporters and they went to town. They went to town and they cited us and quoted us and everything. But we essentially were the first ones. The CMMNJ was we were able to publish a blog and a press release and say, here's the information. That guy and that office, gone.
Gone.
Not only is it gone, like any future incarnation of it is gone. There's just no access point for that kind of information anymore. State government really likes, in New Jersey especially, likes to be pretty opaque. And didn't Jim, you and I went into the lobby room one day, or was that?
Well, where?
Maybe it was me and Ken in Trenton at the legislature. So a lot of people don't know this, but there's a different flavor to every state house, right? There's a different way that they do things. And in Pennsylvania, the state house is like Congress. Every member has an office there with a staff, and they're often there. And you can walk around and literally like cold call lobby these people or talk to them, And in Trenton, that doesn't exist, by the way, folks. There's no such thing as even a space for that. They do have offices there. They're only there rarely. You can only get in by appointment. Legislators meet with people like me, like an advocate or an activist or a lobbyist, in a place called the lobby room. And it's this place that is of stature to get invited to. And it's really annoying, actually, because oftentimes these politicians won't really meet in their actual office space at all. They'll spend all their time in Trenton in the lobby room, out, in private offices or whatever, or on the floor, or talking to the press or in between, and then they would go home. So, you could only really talk to them in the lobby room, and it is a good concentrated atmosphere. But it's like
I've been there. It's Verlena Jackson Reynolds, the a 997 and a 342's companion bill. Yeah, she had us in there to discuss things, and it was a nice atmosphere for having the congenial conversation we had, and we were able to sit maybe 7 people in kind of close proximity on nice chairs. And
that's true. Actually, the physical room itself is actually really interesting. There's not really any windows to the outside, and there's a kind of a security guy at the door who lets you in and out.
Yeah, and there's that's walking in with the assemblywoman. That was fun. I felt real special.
Yes, and it also is the legislators put you on show essentially when they meet with you there to show who you are to other people. So now other politicians recognize you as somebody that has been seen in the lobby room. To me, I mean, it's great if it happens for you and if you do it all the time or whatever, because you're definitely seeing the lobby room and you're seeing politicians start calling you and talking to you about the bills. But like on the other hand, it does feel like you're in like King Louis the XIV's court,
Yeah.
and you're holding court in some
But
monarchy way. I mean,
we,
it's
but
just
we,
it's very bizarre.
we have this modern, wonderful way now that we're using to meet without going anywhere. And I'm surprised that they can song and dance their way through that the way they do. And, you know, I've been on maybe a half a dozen with friendlies, all with friendlies, you know,
Oh man,
like Joe Vitelli. Um, but it's,
do you remember Jamel Holly, who's no longer in the assembly because he also
yeah,
said some really kind of wild stuff there during the pandemic? But we used to meet with Assemblyman Holly in there when before the pandemic, and you know, and I met
yeah,
with other members of the Senate and Assembly when they've been there to give us good news and not so good news.
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, you know, when you annoy them and they want to try and also have like a louder conversation from their peers. It's fun, but
Yeah.
fun times in the lobby room. But again, the difference between Pennsylvania and, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are kind of like conference rooms and stuff in Pennsylvania where you get invited in and stuff too. But there is a much more transparent, open atmosphere in Pennsylvania. The press has a much more transparent atmosphere with the politicians and what's going on with politics than New Jersey. I have to say that it's really hard to get the political story out of Trenton anymore. I mean, harder than ever, even just like as an advocate who knows a fair amount about what's going on. There are less reporters, less newspapers, less TV stations covering it. There's just literally less information to be able to have on the topic. So I do think that voters and essentially anybody who's interested in any issue in New Jersey is really at a loss these days as to really figure it out. That's why when Scutari and the rest of the Democrats are sitting there talking
Scutari.
at themselves, I know. I'm from South Jersey though, Gold
Yeah.
Stein.
Oh,
So
yeah, I
when
don't give
these
them the
guys are like
satisfaction.
looking at themselves in a mirror on the screen on Instagram saying that everything's more affordable and what a great job they're doing, it's like I don't know. It's weird. It seems weird.
3 out of the 4 bills passed in the last session were
3 out of 4. Oh, all bills. That's because they don't let anything
industrial.
forward that won't pass. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
S 2945.
hey, medical marijuana and home grow could have been the medical home grow and the everyone home grow could have been 2 more bills that absolutely would have passed.
It should have been
Silly.
heard, should have been allowed to have been heard in an informational open setting, be on the record, start the ball rolling. Couldn't do that. All we
Look,
did
when
was
everybody's publicly on board,
practice balls all session. That was it.
no.
Never actually got to the game.
Again, you got to take him at his word. He is
No, I don't. I don't got to take him at his word.
He's studiously protecting the industry, Jim. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. He is studiously protecting the industry.
Yeah, he's
They
throwing
feel
sick
very
people.
protected.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's rolling over the backs of patients doing it and their finances. And I look forward to the rat. You know, I hope so. But he's going to be represented one way or the other. I mean, if the rat wasn't a go, he's definitely going to be. That's a special day.
Oh my God, dude. We should just, if the rat doesn't work, let's all dress like Napoleon. Let's all get like Napoleon cosplay. And we can all be the Napoleons of New Jersey, and we can all be Napoleons.
It reminds me of Dr. Kevorkian and his tricorn hat, you know. I don't think I'd go with the funny hat.
Oh, Dr. Kevorkian.
Well, he had that tricorn. He'd show up in court dressed like a revolutionary patriot.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
No,
I think that actually Napoleon didn't wear a tricorn hat. He wore
he wore that whole big curve, the Napoleon hat. Yeah, and you stand with your hand and your thing there, and
yes, everybody knows what you are when you got the. But like, no, I think what would be effective next year? That's the question. And will Scutari is he solid in his role as Senate president? Even that's the other question.
Well, he'll be for the first part of the year at least. I mean, he's going to be Senate president.
Scutari is not without controversy, and he was reelected in November of this year, so he's essentially installed for another.
Well, the fact that it's been almost impossible to find help from senators to do things when not one would ask him to get out of the way and let 342 be heard. Not one.
Hey,
not one
look.
co-sponsor, not one anybody.
I was quoted in Politico this year, Jim, in March, and Matt Friedman did the story from North Jersey. And Matt is a good reporter. He's been covering Trenton for a long time. And he was like, look, tell me your version of why homegrow isn't getting done. And I was like, okay. I was like, very simple. I meet with Senator Singleton on this regularly, at least every quarter, every legislative session quarter. And I've got another meeting, by the way, guys. Senator Singleton is my senator, and he does sponsor the medical homegrow bill. And I got to give him a lot of credit. Look, Senator Singleton, for the last few years, has been the one guy. If you listen to him, if you listen to Senator Singleton in committee hearings and in the press around these times, he is putting from his place, saying what he can to get New Jersey patients a fair deal. Like he's saying, why aren't you giving a fair deal? He's bringing this up in committee hearings. I've heard him do it. I heard him put pressure on these MSOs when they came up and asked for their permits, and they had to go before the Senate and make their pledges.
Well, Kathy is a constituent, as so she has, when it behooves her, a nice email trail with Senator Singleton's office. But that is of course written by me. And at one point, she, meaning me, said, most of the information I get is from, Jim, maybe you should talk with him directly. And then they get back to her and don't say anything about, well, we'll deal with Jim. And it's all me anyway. It's just like, really, you got to be schizophrenic.
Jim, you don't need to be a constituent to meet with a senator in New Jersey to work on an issue. Just so you know.
To be informed. To be informed. The reason I know that it was December 16th of last year that he asked Senator Scutari to allow Senator Vitale to post the bill is because I forget her name, but she told me, and I like to remember numbers, but it's a personal. I get to say that, to know the date that he asked, and to know I never ask. People say ask him to post it or whatever. It's always, to me, the official wording would be to allow committee chairman Vitale to post it when the primary sponsor, Senator Singleton, asks him to do so. He has to ask,
Senator Singleton has asked, and that's what I was just saying.
Hasn't asked since, though.
Yeah, no. Every session, every time the health committee comes up for a new quarterly meeting of review of bills, Singleton asks for the medical homegrow bill to get posted to committee. What he tells me is that Vitale writes it on the card to send it to the Senate president, and that the Senate president in New Jersey has line item power over every bill that gets heard in every committee. That's the power of the Senate president, by the way. If you're wondering what the Senate president does and what kind of power they wield, the Senate president, all the committee chairs, write out all the bills that they want to have posted. And then they send that to the Senate president's office. Yep. Senate president's staff looks through it, flags things that the Senate president might be interested in for a go, no go. It is direct, and what Singleton told me and what I was able to tell Politico firmly. And it's funny because this is how politics is, is that Senator Singleton has confirmed that Senator Vitale told him that they have done the procedure, and that the Senate president's office removes that bill and refuses to let them post it at committee. That's in the article. That's on record, Jim. It's in Politico this year. I'll resend it to you.
But, when I went one of these meetings I had with Senator Vitale was I mean, I needed to hear him say it, and he did give me a kind of humorous. Of course, I will post it, we enunciate it as if to say, stupid fucking question, Jim. But I'm smiling and said, no, I need to hear you say it. Because I would post it immediately upon getting his permission to do so. It's good enough for me, I mean, I felt, and it was real easy. It was a freaking Zoom meeting, 15 minutes of his time, and anybody could do it. But I've been a little, I gotta say, I mean, I can't be real particular about it, except for I'm a little disappointed that the coalition did try to engage him maybe 4 times in the entire session and never heard back nothing, was absolutely 100% ignored. There's no way, and
There's it in the chat, by the way. I posted the Politico article in chat. So
right. Anyway,
you can open it up and check it out. Later.
I gotta go. It's 8:59, and I'm gonna turn into something at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna turn into having a beer at 9 o'clock.
All right, let's go. Listen, no, it was great chatting, honestly, and it was good talking
Yeah, it
with
was
you
a good
guys.
night. Yeah, it was good. It's always productive, I mean, I don't know. I feel better direction after a good little while like this. I really do, so I'm glad to do it too.
How long are you staying on, Lefty?
Well, I'm going to do the list then.
Oh, I'll stay for
I'm
that.
hungry.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we'll do the list.
What's the list?
The list. Chris, you've never been here for the list?
List.
I'm only usually here for like 20 minutes. I hung out tonight.
It's such a long list. It's a lot of first names. That it's all people who were involved, patient, advocate, or otherwise, who died before they could see the home stretch and much less the finish line, which I consider to be homegrown. There is no finish line. I think we know that. But anyway, it's people that they were outlived by the process. So we pay homage to them. And originally it was shorter list, so it would be broken down better, where the purpose was to make people feel bad if anybody bothered listening to the list, and then read the ode to remembrance at the end, and over and out. What do you say?
Before I get to that, please write to Senator Scutari or call his office.
Scutari.
You did it. That's like D's Scutari. Give me like D's Scutari, dude. D's not Scutari.
Call his number. It's Scutari.
That's what they say. If you reach Senator Scutari's office. That's why I keep trying to get people to call him Scooter.
Like when you introduced yourself, Chris, at the CRC, you said Chris Goldstein, and because they introduced you as Goldstein, and I said, "Oh, here we go.
I'm going to be Millar."
How do they not know your name by now?
Jim Millar.
You know what?
All the time to do that. Millier.
Just remember to do that. If you see somebody's name, Stein, just pronounce it differently either time and see how they respond.
All right. Well, thank you, CMMNJ, Scanasense, UFCW, Jackson Storm, Smoking Monkey, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, Pure Puff Lifestyle Shop. And you can donate to Sativa Cross at sativacross.org at the shop page. Go to the shop, and there's a donation button there. But yeah, our list starts with Cheryl Miller. She's ground zero for patients here in New Jersey. Chris knows the stories, and why she's on our list here. And then there's Sabina Rose, a little 15-month-old baby who had a 25-hour seizure. Remember her? Yeah, 25-hour seizure, waiting for cannabis. Governor Christie made Sabina go to a psychiatrist at 1 year old to get cannabis. And that took about 4 months to find the psychiatrist. 4 months out of 15 that she was alive is quite a long time. And she died waiting for her cannabis card. Because her parents were in a quandary, because do you wait, do it the legal way, or do you give your cannabis illegally to your child and suffer the consequences of them taking your kid away. So it's a horrible situation to put parents through. Diane Ripatella, she had ALS, and she came to the State House. Jim, she was smiling at one time when they passed something. She was smiling.
Oh, they brought out the cassette recorder. We are family. And she was like rocking, and singing. Yeah, she had a happy moment. Of course, she had more solemn moments when she would cry while testifying how she's afraid of dying, and it was very moving. So she had both sides. She had very high and low wavelengths.
Little Gracie, Cindy May, these are children. Marie from cancer in Pennsylvania. Joan Ford, that's William's mom. She wrote a book about epilepsy. Growing up with epilepsy in the 40s, where the nuns would throw holy water on her when she'd have a seizure. They thought that the devil was in her. That's how much they knew about seizures back then. Yeah, holy water. I mean, it's not going to hurt you, but surely that's not what she needed. Randy Robertson. They gave Randy Robertson the Whipple procedure before they gave him medical cannabis. Then he had the Whipple procedure, and then they gave him the cannabis after the Whipple procedure. I think they had that a little backwards. Polly Connolly. Bill Buckman, civil rights attorney.
Some people's lawyer when they got in trouble with the laws in Philadelphia. Yeah.
You got Chad, Jeremy, Joanne's husband, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger Barber, who fought for his daughter and fought for everybody to be able to use cannabis in school by your nurse.
I used to know, it's funny. His kids were playing softball and my daughter was also playing softball. And we used to run into each other. We were like working on all this political stuff. And then on the weekend, we were both at this, our daughters were playing each other on a softball game and we saw each other and we were just, Chris, I was like, Roger, I was like, wow. And then we were just like, wow, you're in this league. And it was so funny. Like, there's so many like parallel lives. He's such an energetic and nice guy. Roger was a great guy.
I know. Jay Orletto, Ella Bagelman from brain cancer. She came to the State House many times. Hattie Koshel, my grandmother. I used to give my grandma vapes. I used to test her lungs with the vape bag. I used to fill up my vape bag and drive it down to Spotswood and give her a breathing test and say, hey, okay, Graham, breathe in. And when she would breathe in the vape. And eventually she understood that this vape made her feel really good. So when I would come, she'd be like, hey, do you have the breathing test today?
Yeah, I need to take a breathing test.
She needs the breathing test. She wanted the breathing test.
She ever asked for a second breathing test after the first?
She loved the breathing test.
Dosing your grandma.
Dosing grandma. Yep. Jackie Rickert, Anthony, Jake, Armando.
I knew
Tailbone cancer. Huh?
Jackie, I knew pretty well too. I would run into her with Gary Stork out. Gary Stork is a pretty well-known glaucoma patient.
They came here. And I think why Jackie's even on the list because she ate cannabis candy that Chadbury Ray gave her and Congressman Smith's office and Loretta Charbonneau, his chief of staff, was very interested in that because we had an appointment. We talked with her, and I said, well, listen, we're going to be getting ready to go. So Jackie and Cheryl are going to have their marijuana candy now, if it's all right with you, without really stopping, they had like peppermint patty, little pink, nice minty like candies that Chad made. They were very good. And she was most interested in how it would work. And I said, well, basically it's going to be about 20 minutes at a minimum, before it's going to be comfortable for Cheryl. And it's funny how she actually, because we weren't lobbying at that point, we were done talking. She was very interested. So anyway, Jackie broke the law in New Jersey in front of a congressman's chief of staff, so she makes our list. Sorry.
Armando had tailbone cancer. I never heard of tailbone cancer.
Ooh.
I never heard of that. And that's what he died from. He was my buddy. Felicia, Lynn Platshorn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian Kuprian, your buddy Jim, Flo, Carl, Thorne Peters. Thorne Peters was something else. That guy, you ever hear Thorne Peters?
Mm-hmm.
That guy was pretty wild. They killed him in prison. He was in prison in Tennessee for weed, and they killed him because he was very outspoken. And he died mysteriously in prison. Frank, Lorraine, Terry Harris, Charlotte Figgy, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky, and Jeff Oakes. Jeff Oakes was the man. He would show up to a council meeting with a chemo bag strapped to his hip. That's some badass stuff right there. Just because these towns are so ignorant, they were banning medical cannabis. And he got so mad that they would ban medical cannabis. He was sick, and he would go out there and fight for other patients that would say, not in my town. You legalized it, but you can't have it in this town. Oceanport banned it. His town banned it. They banned medical cannabis in Oceanport. How pissed do you think Jeff was? And then Governor Murphy blew him off. Governor Murphy had the opportunity to put Jeff under his wing and help him. And what did Governor Murphy do?
Disappear.
Pushed him off to Judith Persichelli from the health department. Never answered his question. What was his question, Jim? Why does the state?
Well, how is it that I live in a state that will help me die, but will not help me live by letting me grow some of my medicine?
Yeah, assisted suicide they'll allow, but not.
Yeah, no, he's eligible for that.
Yeah. So governor still didn't answer that question. He owes him an answer.
Yeah. Not like you can walk right in and ask him. Well,
thanks, gentlemen. See you soon. Have a Merry Christmas too, by the way. This is a Christmas show. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, now I feel like shit. Oh, these dead people.
Now you feel bad.
Merry Christmas.
Sorry you feel like shitty, but Merry Christmas anyway.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
Wow, it really feels like a family Christmas now that you did that.
Dysfunctional family Christmas, yay.
A little guilting, shaming, and tone deaf.
That's like the Jewish Catholic family Christmas I'm always used to. It's cool.
Yeah. Who's going to be your problem relative this year?
Yeah.
Who's going to talk about the wrong thing this year? Who's going to bring up politics first or religion? What are you going to fight about this year? Who's throwing the potatoes?
I'm not gonna say anything yet. We're gonna have a nice holiday this week. Everybody smoke their weed.
Yes,
Smoke
please
your
smoke your weed.
weeds.
Yeah.
Now
Please.
remember, Santa has snacks at home. He wants to taste your homegrown. So leave a joint out for Santa this year.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna laugh like with something like a bowl full of jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine Santa could have I mean, like if you went from house to house eating fucking cookies all the time, it would be a really tough
Yeah,
night.
really,
It'd
wouldn't
be
it?
like judging the Great British Baking Show for like 9 hours straight. But if every house had weed, you could do that. Like that is possible. Like you would not die. At the end of the night, you feel like so good. You taste all that different flavor. So it's so amazing.
Yeah,
Stoner Santa's ride around the planet. I want to see it happen.
What's that, Bear?
it sounds good till you realize Santa done gave everybody the wrong gifts in the morning.
No way. Imagine
them
the
up.
weed garden that they are growing at the North Pole. Imagine how many elves they had to breed just to supply the marijuana gardens. Okay. Like they had to shift from toys to weed growing up at the North Pole in like, I don't know, 2006.
Or they had to add a branch for adults.
Yes. No, no, no. These kids today, they don't get toys, they get iPads. So they don't need elves anymore. We can put all the elves in the marijuana garden from now on. It's all good.
Yay!
Mm-mm.
All right,
Guys.
I'm gonna have a cannabis themed Christmas before I see you next. And I get to take part. I had just a little bit of money from having a job that I was able to do, because usually it's, oh, thanks, I didn't get you anything this year. Oh, thanks, you shouldn't have, but I didn't get you anything this year. Yeah, I get to get some things this year. So I'm gonna enjoy Christmas just because of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
What? Because you got extra money, you're gonna buy a bunch of weed and dress yourself up like a marijuana Christmas tree, just stick it all to your body, right? Like
Yeah.
walk in.
Yeah, I did. When I was married, like when I was 22 through 25, first Christmas tree I had then, I rolled up joints and put the green bag ties that you would get over, bread bags and stuff, and hang them like on the Christmas tree that also had popcorn strung as the main thing, and tinsel and stuff.
Love that.
And people would be there for like an hour or more and go, is that real? Yeah, have one, so you could just pick it off, and and they disappeared throughout the holiday till there wasn't any. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I used to eat corn and you'd get a whole mouthful of like piney popcorn and tinsel. It was the taste of the holidays.
All right. Throwing popcorn was fun. I mean, the cannabis joint rolling and smoking and popcorn threading, with a needle, trying not to cut yourself, and just string it together. There's something about that look. It's so old school looking,
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Loving
Well,
it.
have a great stoner Christmas, guys.
Yeah. Talk
Happy
to you all
stoner
on
Christmas.
on the flip side,
Yep.
All right, here we go. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will
remember.